Hello and welcome to Simple Life Philosophy. I'm your host Ed Raper. This is the channel where you follow along on my journey as I try to find a simpler philosophy of life that is easy to understand and easy to execute, as well as leading to more productivity and peace of mind. I want to encourage you to like the video, share it with your friends if you find mutual friends that are interested in this sort of thing. Comment below if you have some comments, and as always, subscribe to the channel, hit your notification bell for more content. Today is the weekly broadcast, broadcast of the Saturday Stoic. I'm going to continue with just one video a week for a while because I'm currently engaged in working on building my other channel, The Rabid Atheist, which is doing really well, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit more. But I want to continue to do these videos as kind of a journal of my progress into a simpler life, philosophy, and so I'm kind of heading this direction. I still want to weekly do a documentation of that, but I also want to share some things that I think will be helpful to you and everybody else. Today I want to talk in this edition of the Saturday Stoic about 5 Stoic principles that can really simplify your life. And I was, looking through various Stoic pages that I frequent, and I came across a little bit of a meme, and I'll probably post it here right in front of you so you can see it. But I was struck by the simplicity of it, and I was struck by the 5 things on it because they also, every single one of them kind of resonated with my own personal journey right now, and a lot of these things are just connecting with me really heavy. So I thought I'd share these 5 principles that lead to a simpler life that come from Stoicism in a way to kind of help you along, and maybe something here will be helpful. But it just struck me how close they were to my home and to where I'm at personally, and so I want to address that. I've got a few comments at the end to address, and I want to talk about some other things a little bit too, as well as the future of the channel. Number 1, the first Stoic principle I want to talk about is recognize what you can control and what you cannot. Now, we've gone over this many, many times before, but if you want a simpler life, you have to eliminate the things that you for sure cannot control. Worrying about them, obsessing over them, going after them is not going to help anything. You can't control something. If you can't control something, you can't control it. And so it's better to figure out a way to adapt to it than try to control it. And I've just found this really practically helpful because, especially at work, because there's a lot of things that, when you work in a big, store, like I do. I work for the world's largest brick and mortar in one of their supercenters. And, there's a lot of things that happen while you're not there that you can't control. And during the day, there's a lot of things going on that you can't control either. And so you have to ask yourself a question. I can't control what customers do. I can't control what my coworkers do. So I don't focus on that. I focus on what I can do and what I can control to make my situation better. And I think a lot of my complaining, I still complain about things from time to time, but I'm now actually kind of questioning why. Because if I can't do anything about what I'm complaining about, I guess I'd rather focus my energy on something that's, a little bit more productive or mentally, better. And I've really been challenging myself in the last week or so about, focusing on stuff at work that I can actually control. And I'm learning that that's a little bit more efficient and allows me to get more done, actually, because I'm not focusing on stuff that I can't control. Number 2, you're the one that controls your reaction to a situation or a crisis. I think this flies in the face of a lot of, some psychology and some other philosophies where, they triggered me and made me do this. And the Stoic is saying, nobody triggers you, okay? You choose to be triggered, okay? You choose to let that bother you. There's a choice that you make when somebody does something you don't like. You can either follow your emotions or let it go. And on a practical level, this has really helped me a lot because part of it is learning to take responsibility for myself and for my emotions. And part of that taking responsibility is learning how to express them effectively. But if you're always like if you're always having this heightened emotional reaction to things, it can really allow you to be opened up to other things where you're easily to manipulate, you're easy to lead along. I always tell people, religion, politics, the media, all play on this idea of trying to trigger you so that they can get an emotional reaction out of you. And then in that moment when you're emotional and you're not thinking, they will plant other ideas that normally in your rational self, when you're calm, you wouldn't consider. And learning to stay calm in a crisis, learning how to not necessarily be emotionless, but realize that the place of emotion is not in that moment, but maybe later or at some different time. It might be time to be emotional and passionate about it, but learning how to control your reaction to things is definitely something that I've learned from Stoicism, and it has a very great practical value. It leads to a very simple life because I now am not wasting a lot of time getting angry or offended or that kind of thing about a lot of things and letting other people's dictate terms to me about my emotional state. And I know that a lot of people are very emotional out there, I get that, but I think it's okay to be very emotional, but learning how to control when to be emotional, when not to be, you have that in your power. I really agree with him here. I think you do. Number 3, ignore people dominated by negative emotions. Like it or not, all of us are surrounded by other people. And learning to ignore the people that are dominated by all their negativity is a real skill. Okay, it really is. But how does that help you? The thing is, we tend to empathize with people, regardless of what emotion they're having. I mean, if they're upset, we get drawn into being upset, and then we're upset too, but we're not even involved. If we get offended, if somebody else is offended by something, they try to draw us in. If somebody else is angry about something, they try to draw us in. If somebody else is sad, they draw us in. And learning, there's people in our lives that we find that are completely dominated by this negativity. And I can't tell you, I have a great example now, but I don't want to offend my family. But it's like there are certain family members over the years that I've had to withdraw myself from because the emotions that they constantly have, the place in life where they live was a constant state of negativity, and it would draw me into that. And as somebody who suffers from high functioning depression, I could still work and do the things I need to do, but that emotional state where I would normally be either neutral or happy, I suddenly found myself being drawn into the negative. What I guess I'm saying is we tend to reflect what's around us. And how this leads to simple life is I'm not wasting my emotional energy because somebody else is wasting theirs. Okay, and you need to recognize when somebody else is just wasting their time, they're worrying about something they can't. Go back to our first principle of worrying about things that you can't control or can't. This is something that definitely moves forward with that, and I think it's a more of a practical skill of learning not to be dominated by other people's negative emotions. And it's one thing to be empathetic towards people that are hurting. It's quite another when it's a constant state and they're constantly drawing you into it. You got to draw a line somewhere, and one of the tools of essentialism, for instance, is to learn how to say no. And I think it goes with this principle pretty well. Master yourself and focus on character and virtue. This is one, I think all of us struggle with mastering virtue and learning to focus on ourselves. It goes with the first principle again. You can't control others, but you can master yourself. You can master your own actions and feelings and things like that. And those are things that definitely can be very helpful. For me right now, this is the struggle. This is where I'm at, because I'm fighting on the one hand is I've got to learn how to control myself and my feelings well enough where I'm still productive, because my simple life philosophy is trying to find ways to be productive regularly and consistently. And some of you have talked about, maybe it's not the idea of evening out that up and down curve of depression and, being happy and sad, but maybe learning how to roll with it and get the most out of it in those points by recognizing, okay, am I on an upswing? Am I on a downswing? Am I in the valley? Am I on top of the hill? What can I do to be productive in that spot? And that's the kind of the struggle of me mastering myself. but I am really trying to master myself because nobody else is going to do it. And I really need, it's not so much about controlling my life because I recognize a lot of things are out of my control in my life. But the things that I can control, I want to make sure that I have mastery of them and can move forward with my life. A lot of this is also hinged on pursuing virtue. Pursuing virtue is good for me. Being more courageous, being more honorable, being truthful, being more self-reliant, working hard, doing the things that, other aspects of, virtue that really help the situation. And lastly, number 5, learn to move on. Boy, this is hard. We like to hold on to things forever, don't we? We like to hold on to the past. When I'm talking about simple life philosophy, I'm talking about minimalism too. I'm actually getting ready to do what I would call late summer cleaning. And this is a little habit I've developed. Like I'm trying to develop every 3 months or so, just go through the whole house. Do I use this? Do I need this? Whatever. And get rid of what I don't need. Take it to Goodwill, sell it in a yard sale, do something with it. And I'm coming to some hard conclusions because I've been here now 6 months in this apartment, and there are some things I haven't touched since I moved in. Okay, and now some of them are, they're keepsakes and things like that, but there's other things like they're very neutral. I have very neutral feelings about them, but they're still here. And so it's like learning to move on from stuff, but also learning to move on from people. On a more personal note, I've really struggled, because I mentioned before, my romantic relationships seem to be in a stall, despite the fact that I want one. I seem to be in a stall relationship. And part of it is me, because I think I'm still struggling to move on, okay, in a lot of ways. And a lot of it goes back to pursuing virtue too, because I'm scared spitless. I've only been in one serious relationship, well, 2 others that didn't last as long, but one super long-term serious relationship in my life. And I've told people this before, my body count is 1, and still is 1. And I don't want it to be more than 3 by the end of my life, which allows, in case I find, I'm getting close and intimate with somebody and then I realize, this isn't going to work, I want that option, but, I prefer 2, 3 is acceptable. But the whole point here in learning to move on is I'm trying to learn to move on from my marriage, because my fear is, and I think a lot of people who are divorced have this fear, and I think divorce is a good example of learning to move on, but you're afraid that the guy or gal you're going to get involved with next, okay, is going to have similar traits as to what you left. Or the relationship is going to have similar aspects to it. And you need to get past that, okay? And I need to get, to a place in my mind, this is a new relationship. It's square one. There may be some things that feel familiar, but that doesn't mean that they are familiar. And so learning to move on in relationships, learning to move on with jobs, I'm still trying to find, besides working at the world's largest brick and mortar, what else can I do? And part of that is starting to be answered by YouTube itself on another channel, but that opens up possibilities and opportunities for me, and I need to move forward with them. But learning to move and get past the past, I may talk about this on Rabid Atheist, because I've got, I think tomorrow I'm doing my broadcast for that show, and I'm going to talk about deconstruction and some of the tips I have for deconstruction, but learning to move on, learning to get past the stuff, learning to get past the relationships, get past where you're at. The past is the past. It molds you, but it doesn't define you. Okay, and that's something I'm trying to learn. I think I posted a meme on my own personal Facebook page to that regard, of learning how to understand that the past may mold me and shape me a little bit, but it doesn't have to define me. I can rechange the definition at any time. That's it for my 5 principles of Stoicism to help you have a simpler life. I want to talk about a few other things. Going into like essentialism, minimalism, I am right now overwhelmed by how successful my other channel is. Okay, it's astounding to me. Just to give you a little example, yesterday I left for work at 1 o'clock in the morning because I work from 4 to 1, and I hit the gym before that, and then I shower at the gym and that stuff. But I got back home, turned on my computer to check everything, and between the time I left for work at 1 o'clock and the time I got home at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I literally grew by like 35 subscribers in that frame of time. My last count, the last time I looked, my subscribers on the Rabid Atheist are at 925. Now, how should I, as a Stoic, handle that kind of success? Well, first of all, essentialism tells me, okay, I need to focus here. I need to say no. Now, it doesn't mean I'm going to kill this channel because, as I said at the beginning of this one, I'm going to continue to do what I do. And this, to me, getting away from the atheism from time to time and talking about other things is absolutely essential to me living a better, simpler life. And so it's just not one of those things that I gravitate toward. But I'm still trying to figure out how to balance this. And I think what's going to happen is right now, okay, the essential thing is to build this channel and get it past that hump. If I can get past the 1,000 subscriber hump, if I can get past the 3,000 and then 4,000 watch hours hump, then I can fully monetize the channel. And then at that point, I can back off that channel a little bit, like still do the end of the week, still do another video during the week, but then, bring in another video here on Simple Life Philosophy. Because I still want this channel to grow as well. If someday it gets monetized too, it may take a few years, that's fine. I'm a very patient person. And this success was just totally unexpected for me. So I said I'd be a fool not to try it. And so that's kind of where I am, okay? And right now the real temptation is to go gung-ho with one and not be patient and not just take it a step at a time. And that's where, I'm trying to work on the 9 noble virtues of, perseverance and being industrious and just, working on the self-reliance, because any bit of money that comes from that channel is a little bit less pressure on me, and that's kind of where I want to get to. I would love to get to a point where, from a minimalistic, essentialist standpoint, I have everything I need, and I'm working towards my goals, which I now have like options. I realized that, I had kind of the one option on the table, and now I'm starting to develop a couple other options that would also satisfy me from a standpoint of sustainability and other things. So I'm just focused on that a little bit more. A few comments to deal with. I had one comment that I really do want to address because I'd like some advice. For those of you that are autistic in the room, for those of you that are introverts, so let's see if you can relate to me. I had a comment, maybe you need to get involved with some sort of group in your community, maybe a philosophical group and another thing. And it's like, I live in a small town. I don't think our town has more than 3,000 people in it. And the surrounding area is country. It's beautiful West Michigan countryside, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. It's just beautiful. And the farther north you go, the more beautiful it gets. The real downside to that is finding groups to be involved with that share interests or something. And the other thing is autism. I'm starting to realize that my aversion to social situations is a nervous system thing. Like, it's one thing to socially interact with customers or with my fellow coworkers or with my boss or stuff like that. It's quite another to go into a social situation to be purely social. Mine, I really feel like a stranger in a strange land. I feel like I'm an alien on another planet in those moments, and it drains me now so fast. I did not realize how much social situations just drained my nervous system so fast. And learning how to handle that, boy, me and my therapist are going to talk about this next week, but it's just, I gotta like, how does that work? How do I get past that drainage? How do I look at it differently in a better way and pursue it a little bit more positively? And this is another one of my struggles. I don't know. I get into those social situations and I feel totally awkward. I don't know what to say. I'm fairly sure my timing when I say stuff is sucky. If I'm talking to a woman, I feel as tongue-tied as I did in high school, and I think it's because being autistic through high school, I never got past that emotionally. And I got married young, so I didn't really have to challenge myself in that area, and now I do. And I often feel like I'm behind. I feel like I'm, like, God damn it, I just don't have the skills at this point to deal with that. And it makes me sad because right now in my personal journey, a lot of good things are happening. I think in my last video I talked about a lot of good things that are happening in my life. Right now the bad thing that's happening is the loneliness of being by myself. I've said it before, I miss being married, I miss having a partner, don't miss who that partner used to be. And I know that sounds mean and harsh, but there's a lot of aspects of just being in a relationship when they're there, that when they're gone, you just miss them. Okay, you just miss them. But I'm not going to settle for somebody. I mean, my list of qualifications for a woman is pretty short. Don't take away my peace. I have a lot of peace of mind being single. Okay, I don't have to check with people. I don't have to have any drama right now if I don't want it. Don't upset that. Don't take away my peace. In fact, if you can give me more peace, more power to you. Let's have some common interests that we can work on together. Bring something to the table that complements me, and I will try to bring something to the table that complements you, so we are better because we're together. And then all levels of intimacy need to be pursued by both of us. Okay, so I'm more concerned about the relationship than who you are as a woman. You'll notice that body type isn't there, although I have my preferences. I'm more of a 1940s, 50s pinup kind of guy, that kind of shade. So, but at the same time, I'm not picky. All right, I'm not really that picky. I'm more looking at the character of the relationship than anything else. Well, that causes me, a little consternation because it's like I don't know if anybody else is interested in that kind of thing. And being that simple, and I often find when I'm on dating sites these days, and I want to talk about dating, this is one of the subjects that's bothering me. I have literally gotten off every dating site. I tried to hold on to a couple of them, check them out every once in a while, but I haven't checked them in like 2 weeks. And it's because I don't think that's the answer for me. I just don't see it. And every person that I've liked that's liked me back, they talk to me for a while, and then finally they decide to read my profile. And they either find out, one, that I openly tell you, yeah, I'm autistic and you might have to communicate your emotions a little bit better because I may not pick up on them. I'm just being honest. And I don't want that to be a hurdle for the relationship. Or they're a woman of God looking for a man of God, and that's kind of barking up the wrong tree here. So at that point, they're usually out. And the real problem I've had the last 3 conversations that I've had texting back and forth, it's been like all of a sudden they stop talking. And I've noticed something about myself with all of these ladies I've gotten involved with, where I start texting them. I'm not the last one to talk. I'm usually the last one to text. Okay, it's they that stop texting me. And I don't know what it is. Okay, I'm starting to develop a complex about myself, I guess. Maybe I'm not dateable material yet. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. That's kind of where I am with that. Anything else? I'm enjoying my new grandson. What a great kid. I'm enjoying my other grandsons. Oh boy. A couple of great guys. Some great men in the future. And I know they'll be raised right, so I'm kind of cool with that. I've got a lot to be thankful to a lot of people for. Things are going well. A lot of basics are stable. It's the extracurriculars, the extra stuff that's not going so well. My gardening kind of is haphazard at this point. I planted 9 herbs. Only 4 of them came up. My leaf lettuce is there, but it's not growing, and it's not getting any better. I'm not sure I'll be able to use it as leaf lettuce. And it's a lack of consistency on my part, really, and I need to alleviate that somehow. Or I need to maybe think that unless I have something large scale where I have to take care of it every day because it's like part of a job, it's going to be a struggle for me. And I don't know if I want to take that leap. That's why I've kind of viewed some alternatives, simple lives, as well. And I don't have all the details worked out for those, so, but I'm always open to options. Yeah. I don't know. I feel good a lot of times. I feel sad a lot of times. Learning to deal with my autism has definitely, and now that I have a name to it, I can study it and definitely starting to feel stuff, be more positive there. I'm learning why I do some of the things I do, and it's not because I'm an asshole, it's because my nervous system is saying, fuck this shit, okay? And then I have to respond to that. Yeah, I know you want to get out of here, but we got to keep moving here for a little bit, and then we can get out of here. And learning to talk myself down off the fight or flight has been a real skill over the last couple months, and it's helped a lot. And learning the fact that my introvertedness is reinforced constantly by my nervous system. That it's not just a personal preference reaction, it's actually my body saying, no, we don't want to do this. And it creates a lot of problems because I'm not the kind of guy that, is probably real good at maintaining traditional friendships. I'm thankful for the few friends that I do have that understand that Ed doesn't necessarily contact you every day, doesn't text you every day to maintain a friendship. I just don't. I just assume the friendship's there unless you tell me it changes, or I'd have to come up with some reasons to change it, and those are very usually gut-wrenching for me. So, so I'm thankful for those friends that have stuck by me, knowing that or instinctively understanding that. That's been great. All right, I think that's it. I don't want to go too long. I want to keep these under a half hour, so hopefully the Rabid Atheist will grow to a point where I can monetize it and then back off a little bit, and then I'll have another video here on Simple Life Philosophy every week as well. I'm going to target like 4 videos a week between the 2 channels, and this one on Saturday and Sundays with the Rabid Atheist on Sundays, and then a video here about something related to Simple Life Philosophy, and a video over there related to atheism or deconversion or some sort of issues. So thanks for stopping by. I appreciate every like, share, and subscribe. Comment below if you have some suggestions for me. I always love your comments. And, comments are going to probably get into the show here, just like the one did. I appreciate them because it lets me know that, I try to see you beyond the profile pic, okay, and the name, okay? I realize there's a human being behind that, okay? Today with AI, it's hard to tell, but most of the time commenters are not necessarily AI, they're real people, and I try to see the real people behind the comment, and I appreciate it when you guys do that. So thank you once again. It's been great having you with me on this journey. Thank you very much. Appreciate every single one of you. I hope you have a great day, and I'll catch you next time.